Let's recreate a pub night at home. I love a good pub night. I love going for wings. I love cozying up at my neighborhood pub with a nice pint. I love a basket of fries and some good friends. I'm all for all those things. Sometimes I crave wings and I don't feel like going to the pub. And making them at home is, a little unpractical maybe, and it's just not the kind of thing I want to make at home. So I'm making buffalo chicken thighs, which are a little bit more substantial. You get that hot wing flavor and you get a little bit of a nice crispy texture. There's no deep frying involved. I don't have an air fryer either. This is all happening in the oven. And I'm gonna make a nice little refreshing something to go on the side. I started with 4 chicken thighs. I seasoned them really, really well all over, including underneath the skin. Some people say that when you lift the skin and season underneath, it helps to make the skin crispier. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but what I do know is that it helps get more flavor into the actual meat because the skin is kind of a protective layer. So when you get under there, you're getting in there. Once those are really well seasoned, I took the skin side and dipped that in some potato starch. I know I'm gonna get the question, can I use cornstarch? Can I use flour? I'm fairly confident that any of those options are probably good options, but I'm using potato starch and I haven't tested it with anything else. So let me know how it goes if you use something else. So once I dipped that in the starch, I heated a cast iron pan over medium heat and I added about 3 tablespoons of oil. You do want a good amount of oil. We're not deep frying. We're not even really shallow frying. We're just frying. But you do want, a nice kind of thick-ish coating of oil on the pan. So I took the chicken thighs, and these are bone-in, skin-on, and I put them skin side down into the cast iron pan. And then because I want the skin to get crispy, I want to make good contact with the pan. So I laid a piece of parchment paper on top of the chicken thighs, and then I put another cast iron right on top to kind of weigh it down. And that's going to make sure that you get good skin contact with the pan. I let that cook for about 5 minutes on medium heat, checking it once or twice just to make sure that things aren't getting burnt. And then after 5 minutes, I fired it into a 425-degree oven. They're going to cook like that for 35 minutes. While we're waiting for the chicken to cook, let's make the buffalo sauce. I have a tablespoon of melted butter in a little measuring jug. I just melted it in the microwave. And then I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of Frank's red hot sauce. I'm a big Frank's fan anyway. I mean, if you don't like Frank's, I'm sure you could try other hot sauces, but it's just not the same. We're going for a pretty specific vibe here. And then I'm just going to whisk that up. And this does not look like very much, but it's enough. So that's done. Set that aside. To go along with these really delicious chicken thighs, I wanted to make a refreshing salad. I don't know about you, but I always ask for extra blue cheese on the side of my chicken wings because hot wings and blue cheese dip is just the best. And if you're in a nice pub that, cares about you, they'll give you some celery sticks on the side too. So I wanted to make a little homage to the blue cheese and celery side, but I wanted to make it a little bit more like something that you'd eat for dinner at home. So I have some celery here. I love celery. I kind of ripped these ribs off and I kind of dug into the middle a little bit so that I could get some of the smaller ones because these ones are just so nice and sweet and tender as opposed to the outer ones. I have some outer ones too, but I'm just gonna slice them pretty thinly. These have been washed. Put this bits aside for stock. And I'm just going to slice them on an angle. I might start with 3 here. I'm gonna slice them on an angle fairly thinly. And you can use some of the lighter green leaves as well. Maybe not so much the darker greens because they could be a bit bitter. I'm a huge fan of this shape for celery in general, like a little diagonal. Did you know that celery is super high in salt? Like the sodium content of celery is really high. It's weird, you wouldn't think of it, But then when you know it and you bite into celery, you're like, oh yeah, it is salty. Anyway, so chuck all that celery into a bowl. And to jazz up the celery a bit, I thought I'd add some fennel. I wanted another crunchy vegetable that wasn't cabbage for some reason. I just didn't really want it to feel like a coleslaw as much. So I went with the fennel. I'm going to use, I think, half a bulb. And I'm going to cut out the core. And I'm going to slice it pretty much exactly the way I did the celery, just thin little slices. If you haven't had fennel before, it's a real treat. It's not the cheapest vegetable, which is why it's a treat, but it's really nice. It's got like a very faint, I think it's very faint licorice flavor. Some people find it to be quite strong, but I find you can smell it more than you can taste it. Like right now, it smells like licorice, but just eating it, just crunchy and good. There's a bit of a licorice flavor for sure. So half a bulb of fennel going in with the celery. Like that. A bit of parsley. And then since I have some fennel fronds, why not add some of them in too? That's it for the veg components. I'm going to make a little dressing now. So the dressing is very simple. I have some really kind of standard blue cheese. It's like a Danish blue cheese, nothing fancy. And then I'm going to squeeze in a lemon. I'm not going to use the zest because I don't really want this to taste super lemony. I don't want it to be a real prominent lemon flavor, just a little hit of acid. So I think the juice of a whole lemon is about right. And then just kind of break up the cheese. Of course, if you weren't a blue cheese person, you could just toss this salad with lemon and olive oil, or you could even do like a ranch or a tahini ranch if you're into that kind of thing. For the creamy component, I'm using some strained yogurt. So this is my own Instant Pot yogurt that I made and strained. So it's really thick. You could use Greek yogurt. You could even just use mayo, just anything that's like really thick and creamy. I think that standard yogurt would be a little bit thin. So that's why I wanted to strain it. You can see it's super thick. This is probably about 2/3 of a cup of yogurt, about 200 grams or so. Now, one thing I've learned with the yogurt straining cloth is to put it straight in the laundry. Rinse it out and then put it straight in the laundry and wash it, because if it sits in a laundry basket for any length of time, it starts to not smell very good. So that's going in the wash. And then I don't need any salt here because blue cheese is ultra salty, but I would like a bit of pepper. So I'm gonna crack some in. Look at that, so creamy, delicious. You could definitely put some of this aside and just have it as a dip for your chicken thighs, but we'll see if I have enough actually. Just gonna scrape that into the salad. Again, I'm not putting any salt in the salad itself at this point. I want to taste it and see. Might be enough. I'm actually just gonna get in there with my hands. Oh my God, it's so nice. You know, I don't think I'm gonna add any salt because I know that that chicken wing sauce is gonna be quite strong in flavor. And I want this to be kind of like a neutral foil, you know? So that's it, done. I'm just gonna obviously wash my hands. All right, so the chicken has beeped. Let's see what it looks like. It's one of those mystery moments, you know, because it's been in the oven for a while. It looked pretty good when I checked on it last, but you never really know until you look at the end. So, what do we got here? Oh my God. That is some really nice crispy chicken. It looks so good. It's not burnt. It's got a nice crust because of that potato starch. Oh yeah. I don't know if you can hear that. Okay, so that's awesome. Now I'm just gonna toss the chicken with the sauce. I have this weird bowl, which people have told me before that it looks like a dog bowl. It's not, at least I don't think so. So get the thighs in there and then get the sauce onto the thighs and then we're done. See, when you pour it on, it looks like kind of a lot all of a sudden. And it will soak up a little bit, especially on the underside. Just want to get it nice and tossed. I don't want a single speck of exposed, unsauced chicken. I'm just going to serve myself because that seems to be the thing that makes sense in this moment. Try a bite of this salad first. It's great. Love that fennel. Okay. I do have some extra sauce, so I might just put a little dab of that on my plate for dipping. And try this out. Wow. So good. Of course you can use a fork for these chicken thighs, but I just feel like using my fingers. It is basically a chicken wing, but with way more meat. And it tastes like a deep fried experience. Like the skin is really, really nice and crispy. The sauce is exactly the way you'd get it at a pub. So good. Cheers. That's a wrap on my cast iron baked crispy buffalo chicken thighs. I love these things. I'm so excited to eat more of them. I'm really excited about this salad too. Perfect for a picnic, perfect to bring to a friend's house, have in your lunches, whatever. It's just really, really good. And I'm happy that it's Saturday night and I'm about to have a really nice pub night at home. Thanks so much for joining me today and making these delicious chicken thighs with me. I hope you like this episode and I look forward to seeing you again next week.